Hey everybody, hope you all had an awesome day. I wanted to finish the day by discussing pretty much what I've been dealing with all day. Just figuring out all this stuff with this new item summon that we got. Okay, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Okay, the item summon that was added for us on June 6th that primarily gives us this Wraith, these Apex boots. What's the other one called? The Queen Staff? Yep, and the Arcane Battle Grab. Okay, that's what we're talking about, guys. This banner that was added just for these 4 items, okay? So, first things first, let's just address that the way that it is. These are somewhat kind of limited-ish. Okay, what I mean by that is if you get this one of these items, any of them, any 4 of these new items, if you get them right now, you're going to have a harder time actually leveling the item up. You're going to have to use the SSR spheres to do that. Unless you want to throw $1,000 at the banner and get duplicates of them now and just combine them all. So that is part of the reason why I'm calling this just whale candy, okay, because that's kind of what it's looking like. Now, if we really, and this would be okay if these things were really worth chasing, if they were really giving us something that would add, some equity to your account, but let's really examine these things, okay? First of all, I hate pronouncing this thing, the Yggdrasil Wraith. I'm just going to call it the Y-Wraith, okay? This thing, first of all, this thing got me excited because allegedly it has a different mechanic in it. It gives you 2% hit points. When turn ends, choose one friendly unit to receive plus 10% magic defense, and that scales up. It also gives immunity to stun and buff negation and mobility reduction effects, and it lasts for a turn, okay? Here's the thing, this is worded very specifically, and it should work just like this. Unfortunately, and this is like, I pulled on this banner for this thing and for the Apex boots. That was the only thing that was worth it to me, period. So I was pretty happy when I got this thing because this is an amazing ability, and especially if you get to choose which characters you put it on. Unfortunately, it's not working like that. It is just giving this buff to a random person, whoever's closest. I don't know. I didn't get to choose anything. So I did get a hold of support over that. They had to forward this to the development team. I've even tried to figure out if this is like a translation error. And again, support said they have no idea. They have to wait for the team to look over it and give them the answer. But I was at least hoping to try to confirm today whether or not this is an actual translation error, because that would be a pretty big translation error. I mean, what this says is very specific. It says choose, you know what I mean, and just the way that it's structured. So taking a wild guess, I think that this does have a different mechanic. It's just not working right, and they need to fix that, okay? If they do, this item's worth it, and it's definitely awesome, okay? So then we have the Apex boots. These are the only boots that actually have an attack stat built into them. It's going to give you attack and magic defense. The other boots give you defense or magic defense, okay? But these are the only pair of boots that are actually going to have attack built into them. They're going to give you that +1 mobility, and they're going to give you hit points. These are probably the best boots in the game right now, okay? And for a lot of characters, this is going to be part of their best in slot build. It just really is, especially if you want them to move 4 blocks instead of 3. So yes, the boots, I would say it's between the best items that they're giving us on here. I would have to say is between the Apex boots and this Wraith, if they figure the bugs out in it. And I would still preferably take the boots. Now, the other item that is up on the table for grabs is the Arcane Battle Grab. And this thing is just like, I don't know. This is like, this thing's a freaking platypus. It is just all over the place, stupid, makes no sense. The only real candidate that I've heard for this armor is Landius. Yeah, Landius. And I think the reason the reason people suggested Landius is just because he's the one that would fit the best, and it still wouldn't be a good fit. There's better armors for Landius to wear than this thing. It's going to give you some hit points and magic defense by 1%. That scales up. And then when you're attacking, when you actually move up and attack somebody, you have it deals fixed damage to the enemy, 50%, and it's based off of your magic defense. Okay? So like, I don't really see it doing that much damage, and it's only going to proc when you're actually attacking something. Most tanks in Landius, they're using fusion powers, and they're using tanking abilities. My Landius might actually attack somebody once every 3 turns, between cycling through all his abilities and keeping the battle command up and all that stuff. So this isn't really relevant for anybody, and I haven't heard anybody else suggested as a good character to wear this armor. So let's see, the other thing is the Queen staff. Yes, the Queen staff. This thing is alright, okay? It's nothing to like write home about, but when unit hit point is above 80%, intelligence increases by, and it gives you a good percent, okay? This is great for a healer, because your healer is typically going to stay in the back, and they're going to have full health. And when they have full health, their heals are going to be off the chain with this thing. And some of their attacks too. You know, healers and casters use their intelligence to dictate how much damage they do and how much healing they do. So as long as your healer stays at 80% or above health, you're going to get more out of them with this thing. Now that's great. So this is a good staff, but like I said, nothing to write home about, because I mean, like, look at the miracle staff. You know what I mean? Look at some of the other staffs it has to compete with. It is still a good staff. It's nice and simple, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be my first choice, okay? And like I said, guys, this is the other thing you have to think about. If you pull a miracle staff right now, cool. You might be able to pull another one next week and the week after that, and you might be able to combine them. There's things like that you can do. With these items only being in this pool for 14 days, I mean, you got 14 days to pull dupes of them if you want to combine them. If not, you're going to have to put SSR spheres on them. The point being is, guys, there's not any real good reason to really chase after these things. They're nothing groundbreaking or game-changing. The 2 best items are right here, the Wraith and the boots. Now, nobody would mind having these, I'm sure, but you got to remember, like I said, it's going to take more time and it's going to take longer to build these items up, okay? Also, it does say in the description for this event that we will have access to these items later on in the game somewhere, somehow. They were kind of vague about it, but that's pretty much what it's looking like. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. It's whale candy. All right, it's honestly, I was expecting a little more oomph from these items. Like, if they're gonna be somewhat limited items, I really thought there'd be more of a game changer in here. Now, you can say that these Apex boots are a big deal. They are. Okay, and like I said, they're probably gonna be the best in slot build for a few characters for a while. But the fact is on a lucky day, if you pull an SSR right now, you got like 1 out of 4 chance of getting the boots. Or you know what? Let's give you the benefit of the doubt. You're trying to either get the Wraith or the boots. That's a 50-50, assuming that you don't pull anything off banner. Okay? And yes, I did pull an off banner today on my way to getting this Wraith. So I don't know exactly what the odds are, but yeah, any SSR you pull could be any one of these other SSRs. This isn't an SSR pull just for these 4 items, okay? So that's important to keep in mind. So are these worth chasing? I personally don't really think so, okay? And maybe for somebody out there they are, but I think in general for most players right now, the consensus would be save your resources, Okay, we're waiting for news right now. We're waiting for important things like different characters and things like that. I think this is just something they threw our way to give us something to pull on and eat up some of our crystals before we get our next announcements of what banners we're going to get and potentially new characters. So I would not pull on this unless you have the resources and you're just doing it for fun, okay? And if you are going to, really look at these items first, okay? Really look at them and keep in mind it's going to be harder to level them up. You're going to have to use those spheres, and it's going to be harder to get copies of these things. So I have heard of like unique items in this game that we're supposed to get in the future that are made specifically for characters. That's going to be a whole different thing. Like, I know Elwyn gets a special sword that really complements him, or a hat, or something. The point is, we're not there yet, and don't think that these items are anything like that. These are pretty much standard SSR items and they're putting them in here. They're trying to make them look real special, but you guys got to realize that the odds of getting these are not really that great. And then even if you do get them, the payoff's not that huge, okay? Take it from somebody that actually pulled the Wraith today, all right? Even if this thing does work the way that it's supposed to, I mean, yeah, that is really badass, and I'd be happy if I got to choose who that buff goes on. But if I didn't have a couple thousand crystals sitting there just burning a hole in my pocket, I still wouldn't have done it, especially looking at the items first. So if you're pulling on this banner, this item banner, best of luck to you. I hope those boots come your way. I kind of hope they come my way too. But just remember, these items are going to take a little bit more time to actually develop. So if you want to go ahead and chase the whale candy, by all means, have fun. I hope you get what you want. Mobile Gamers Unite. This is what I think about this. Peace, everybody.